Hello, offloaders. So we're just off the pod with Darren, and we're having a bit of a chat because I was saying, Darren, obviously you're head of, or you're the manager at Merrylands,
Yep.
but a lot of the boys were very interested in this episode, and girls, because they were saying we don't really know that much about yourself. So I'm not going to get you to introduce yourself because we were just saying off the pod, you find it hard to speak about yourself. And we were talking about birthdays and things like that. So is that one of the things you actually do find hard about yourself is to speak about yourself?
No, seriously, I do, man. I don't know why. Like, whenever I meet new people and everything else, I want to know like what they do, who they are. But then when it comes to me, I can't speak about myself for some reason. So it's always been like that, to be honest. I think a lot of people will see me as like very quiet, very calm, and everything else, and I am. But at the same time, I think the people that only really know me are just like my close friends, to be honest. But when I meet new people, yeah, I struggle to talk about myself. I actually don't know what it is, honestly. But yeah, it's something I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. Like people ask me, like, what do you do for work, or how did you get into training? Like, why do you do all this stuff? And I buckle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So say let's do a scenario. So, mate, I haven't done this. I did a bit of a scene with Widow when he came on because he wants to be an actor. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, let's do a bit of a scene, bro. Let's do a bit of acting. Done. All right, just bro, this will loosen you up for the pod, bloody hell. So who should I be? I'll be like I gotta play this role. I'll be a really obnoxious, really like loud guy, and let's say I'm half pissed as well, and I'm coming up to you. I didn't even know too. Do you have a missus or anything? Single?
Yeah, I got a missus. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you're with your this is, as I said, we're gonna learn a lot about you today, man. But let's say you're with your girlfriend, and then I come up. I'm a little bit pissed, all right, and then I'm like, "Oh, hey, mate, how are ya?"
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, yeah, good. So what's your missus' name?
Kanisha.
You're Kanisha's partner. So what do you do, man?
Look, I'm just what do I do? Yeah, see what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
You weren't even acting.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. So and then okay. So you said, oh, I don't know. Oh, okay, yeah, cool, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, look, I just work at a gym, and I don't really go out too much, but I'm here for my missus' birthday. That's it.
Oh, yeah, cool. And what do you like to do on the weekends?
Honestly, not much, but just train, eat, sleep. What about you?
I do a lot of crazy stuff, man, especially with horses.
What do you mean?
No, end scene. I don't know why. That was an intrusive thought. I don't know why that came to my head. But
I was gonna ask you, like, do you race horses? Like, do you bet on horses? Like,
I think I was going down a different route with that one, man. Yeah. But so even like just then, and we're acting, but you find it. Is it like would you say you think they're not going to find you interesting, or it's just in the moment you just find it hard to articulate like exactly who you are and what you do, or a bit of combination of both?
You know what it is? I think it's more so a lot of people call me very humble. So the other thing that I don't like to talk about myself is also when I get compliments as well. So if someone compliments me, I actually don't know how to take it. I'm like, oh, thanks, or cool, like, or try and redirect it. But for me, the reason why I don't want to talk about myself too much is like I don't want to feel like I don't have an ego. I don't want to talk too up about myself. So I just kind of just like mellow it down a little bit, and just kind of try and redirect this to the other person. So if someone will ask me like, oh, you look good. Like, what do you do for training? I'm like, oh, the way I kind of tackle it is like, I'm like, oh, no, I don't look good. I'm fat. You know what I mean?
Okay. You push it. So it's sort of like, I get what you mean. Not putting yourself down, but it's sort of like you want to redirect it because it's the spotlight's on you.
Yeah.
Type thing.
I think I never wanted the spotlight on me. Like, I never want the spotlight on me. Like, do you remember that video like at Merrylands when they opened up and I had to do that little intro video and all that type of stuff? Like, I buckled throughout that whole video, I think. I was struggling they were asking me questions about like, what's your favorite fruit? And I said grape for some reason. And I was struggling to just really be in front of the camera, I would say.
So can I ask you as well, because we're gonna have Loki's coming on in the future
Yeah.
actually, and he said to me once that when one playground asked him to do a video, he couldn't sleep like the whole night before.
really?
He was that nervous, and I said, "Why did she agree to it?" And he was in his era of He had to say yes to everything. That
Yeah.
was what he did. And then the video turned out, I don't know if you remember that one. It was like he's a police officer.
Yeah.
I'm in it for a brief cameo. And it's, mate, people love that video. And he actually said after he enjoyed it, but he was very, very nervous. So how long before did you get a bit of preparation before the video? Did you know it was coming up or?
I knew it was coming up, but I think the difference was they told me, and I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. They're just going to ask some generic questions. I rocked up to Merrylands and they gave me like a piece of paper with all these like questions they were going to ask, like 20 or 25 questions. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm going to answer to any of these. But I think, as soon as you get the first few questions done, it just starts to roll over and it's like, it's so easy to kind of just like, say what you need to say. But overall, the night before, I was like stressing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in front of a camera. This is going to be posted on Instagram. Everyone's going to know I'm the club manager. I can't buckle. So it took a few takes, honestly. But I think at the end of it, it was really good. It was really good to kind of get in front of the camera at the end of the day. So overall, so good.
Because I want to go back because I think this is interesting and it might relate to a few people like how you're feeling. But I want to just say, how did you end up? So you were training with Luciano. Like, how did you end up with the one playground? It's a very generic question to ask everyone, but the one playground journey, quote unquote. Like, how did that start again?
One playground journey. I was originally working before I even started one playground. I was working at Culture Kings Parramatta, just here in Westfields. So I was working there. I had my manager who moved over to one playground. So he moved over to one playground. I ended up taking over store manager at Culture Kings Parramatta. Did that for a bit, but then I think he kind of poached me a little bit to go to one playground. So he kind of locked me in with an interview, went through that whole process, started off in Marrickville as an RM, which is what most people do start with. Worked as an RM, and then obviously, that time in Marrickville was great, like a change of scenery. Wanted to get out of retail, wanted to get out of hospitality. So this whole new journey for me at one playground was more just like fitness and work at the same time. Because I think those were the two things that I loved the most. I loved working and I also loved training. So working at one playground was really good. So I worked in Marrickville for about a year. Moved over to the bunker a year and a bit later. But in that time in Marrickville, I was training with Luciano, built such great relationships with the team, with the coaches, which was really good. And then after a year, moved over to the bunker, was there for about 2 months. This was about like 2 or 3 months before Merrylands was about to start their pre-sales. And I had intention of going to Merrylands always. Like, I think in my interview with Justin, he told me there was one coming out west. I didn't know where, but in my head, I was like, cool, if they're going to build one out west, it's probably going to be in Parramatta somewhere.
So he bloody told you before he told me. Man, for years I was saying to him, Justin's obviously the owner of one playground. I was saying to him, build out west. And then I think the last time I said it, I was like, you're doing one in Parramatta, aren't you? And he's like, not Parramatta. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so go on, mate.
Yeah, no, he was just telling me like there was going to be one out west. And I was thinking like, if they're going to be one in Parramatta, that'd be good because it's like, the second city in Sydney. But I was kind of thinking about it because I live in Fairfield Heights. And I remember driving past Merrylands, there was this new complex that was getting built up. And I was like, in my head, I kind of pieced it together. I was like, oh, like what if he builds it out in Merrylands? Obviously, I didn't know till like I moved to the bunk, till later down in, my 1 year at Marrickville. But after the 2 months in bunker, I remember having a meeting with Justin, with Chris as well. And they just, offered me the club manager spot at Merrylands, which was like exciting for me, It's something I was gunning for. But that's pretty much been my journey at one playground, just kind of going through the motions, working my way up, and then now, club managing one of the biggest clubs in Sydney. So it's pretty good.
And now the next question I did prep for you. So we're going to actually do one of the questions I prepped for. And I wanted to be not diplomatic, but I do understand. Obviously, this is your new club, and I'm from the West, so you know what's coming. So I wanted to ask you, what is the main difference or differences between inner West and the West?
Oh, is it too democratic to say like the demographic? I would say is probably the biggest difference.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
I would say the demographic is probably the biggest difference. I think in the inner West, it's a little bit different with the people that you were touring and kind of signing up. The crowd there was really, really, just welcoming. Not saying that Merrylands isn't welcoming, it's welcoming here as well. But I think because Merrylands, obviously, you've got, it's more family oriented. It's a suburbs, and obviously, I think there's a lot more. I don't know how to say like without being too precise, but I think in one of your episodes you said heads. There's a lot of heads here, and
yeah.
Am I allowed to say that or no?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
And I think that's what the stigma is in the West. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like also because let's say this was a podcast of like two, I'm going to say yuppies, but two inner West and people originally, like you and I are both from here. So I feel like you can say that. Yeah, fair enough.
No, I lived in Fairfield Heights all my life, so I know what the area is like here. You know what I mean? But I think even though that we have that stigma in the West, I don't think it's as bad as it seems, to be honest. I think there's really much difference between the inner West and Merrylands. I think Merrylands is just more family oriented. They're very prideful as well, I would say. Whereas working in the inner West, I would say, it's a lot of people, it's still family oriented, but I think there's like more.
Well, you might have a student that's from overseas.
Yeah, student from overseas, people living abroad. You got more of those type of people there in Marrickville, I would say, or in the inner West. Here, it's just all like people homegrown from the West, and they know what the area is all about. They know what Western Sydney is all about. But I will say there's probably a little bit more trouble here in Merrylands than there is in inner West, to be honest.
Okay. Oh, you mean just in the area in general?
Just in the area in general,
Okay. Because I was gonna say, good answer, man. I feel like you gave enough, and that was good. Because my client, Colleen, I've mentioned her on so many pods lately, but she was saying, she's saying, I must be one of your pushiest clients because she'll tell me, oh, why don't we do this or why don't we do that? And then she's like, ask Noor, you got to get used to trading Lebanese clients. So I guess like a part of it's probably that too. But I mean, I love, she's like an excellent client, love training her and everything like that. So, but there is I know what you mean. There's a slight difference. I think I'm with you. There's a slight difference, but then when, let's say, the guys at Marrickville, like Emmanuel, Joey, because they're from the West, but now work at Marrickville. When they ask, oh, is it quite different? I'm like, not really. Like, it's not as much of a difference as they perceive. Would you agree with that?
100%. A lot of people think that, the West is going to be, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, when they talk about the West, they get like this perception that, it's the ghetto or it's just like very, very hood. It's not. Like, it's not like that. But I'm in a similar boat as you. Like I grew up in Fairfield Heights and I was around, a lot of my friends were more like Islanders, Lebanese people, barely any Asians, to be honest. So I kind of know what the area is like. And I know like people think that, if you go to Merrylands, if you go to Fairfield, if you go to like Mount Druitt, it's like all like, negative thoughts, but it's not like that here. Inner West is, I would agree with you, actually. I would say, like, there's not really much difference, but people have got to experience it for themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Because actually, when you're saying that about your friends, it was funny. Because when I said to Polly, I said, oh, Darren's coming here. Like, I think her face, I was like, it's not like a racist Aussie guy. No. I think she thought like it's going to be like a F off your full sort of car sticker, which she saw the other day. And she was like, I can't believe that exists. Yeah. But that sort of like vibe. So did you ever get that too? Like
my name?
Yeah.
100%. I always ask my mum, I was like, why did you name me Darren? Like, it's the most Aussie name ever. And I think her main answer was just like, oh, you're living in Australia. They really like the name Darren, and I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. I'll settle with that. But yeah, when you say Darren or like you think of the name Darren, you don't see someone like me. You think of someone like probably Darren Lockyer or something. You know what I mean?
So you've got a nicer voice. I gotta say, bro.
Not too raspy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's funny because our last pod I had with Kat that we used to work with. So we spoke about that. She felt. This will be interesting for you because you're born in Australia, right?
Born in Australia.
It'll be interesting for you because she felt she was Ukrainian, but then moved to France when she's at a young age. But how do you feel? Like, do you see yourself as Australian? Have you ever had like any, not identity crisis, but any feelings like that in the past? Or you feel fully Australian?
No, I think I feel fully Australian. I sound Australian. I talk Australian. If there's one thing, I probably don't dive into my Filipino side that much, I would say. So I've really embraced like, the Australian side of me. Because I was born and bred here. I was around a lot of Australian people. But I think one thing that I realized is I really never dived into my actual nationality, like the Filipino side, which is a bit weird, to be honest. Like everyone will ask me, like, or do you like eating philo food? Do you do all these philo traditions? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm a traditional Aussie that does Aussie things. So I wouldn't say I would have an identity crisis, I would say, but I feel very different to. I can't relate to like my Filipino side, I would say.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
So like when my Philo family comes over, like I got cousins and everything else.
You would see them, which makes sense because as we said, you're born in Australia. And like, let's say, for example, Polly just met you. She would say to me, oh, he's Aussie. Do you know what I mean? Like that sort of, I wouldn't say change my perspective, but I don't know what you found growing up in the West, but I remember going to Prewood High School, there was a lot of chat. It would be like, which is fine, but it'd be like, I'm Macedonian, I'm Serbian, I'm this, I'm that. And then when Polly sees my wife, she sees like, let's say my friend Darko, his little brother and their friends, and they're like, oh, I'm Serbian. She's like, you're not European. She's like, you're Aussie, which is a good thing because they are Aussie. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's an interesting thing with the West. And I think it's just a part of a kid wanting to be different, honestly, as well. Like stand out and, be different. Because if everyone's going for the Socceroos, for example, you might go for Macedonia. Not saying you don't feel anything in your heart because of your family, but it might also be a way to stand out. But what you're saying makes sense anyway, mate. You're born here, like you're Aussie. But so when the relatives come, you feel like they're from overseas coming to visit you.
Literally, like they'll start speaking to me in the traditional language, and even though I can understand them, which is good, I just feel like I can't relate to them, or they feel like I'm just too Aussie for them sometimes, I would say. It is what it is. I love my Aussie side. And it's not that I don't love my philo side. I think I just haven't really spent enough time to really dive into that side. So it's something I probably want to do in the future. Kind of understand my culture a little bit more. But I think it's also just come down to like growing up in the West, being around more Aussies, all these different nationalities, and just kind of being brought up from that place, that I've just kind of embraced my Aussie side a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. And then do you think that does tie into, how at the start of the pod, because I did want to go back to that, about being humble and things like that. Would you say maybe that is one of the things, though, that you've gotten from your family? Like, are your parents quite similar to yourself, would you say?
My parents are very quiet, to be honest, very humble, they don't really they don't show off too much, I would say. And I think I've gotten that from them as well. Because like for me, I take a lot from my parents. Like they just kind of work in the shadows, I would say, and just kind of thrive in the shadows. They don't really put it all out there. And I'm kind of the same. Like I can't really put myself out there as much. I'm very humble, very quiet. Just kind of go from that.
Because I was going to say, are they from humble beginnings, like as well? Would you say?
I would say actually, my dad's from a province in the Philippines. It's called Isabela. So very, obviously not like too bright, not too flashy, very humble beginnings, had to earn their way for food and stuff. Same with my mum as well. So I think from that, just hearing that, I just kind of took that from me as well. Just kind of making sure that, I appreciate what I have. And never really just kind of, if I do get something or if I achieve something, I never really just want to show it off, because I know people are probably, going through their own things as well.
Yeah, the next question I was thinking, maybe you could direct it at me, because I don't want to make it seem like it's about Adam, but I'll just tell a little story at Merrylands. So Johnny, when he first started, like Lebanese Johnny, he said that when he first met Adam, Izar that's come on the pod before. He thought he's going to be very arrogant and not like his type of mate, his type of person kind of thing. So he was a bit like held his distance, but now they're kind of really close friends.
Johnny and Adam,
yeah.
Okay.
So the reason, I know it sounds a bit like a long question, but the reason why I want to ask you, and you can do myself instead of Adam, like how do you view people, let's say, just because I don't want to throw Adam under the bus, but that are like myself, that are loud, like in you can be honest, in your mind, are you thinking, oh God, like shut up, or like this is a bit much, or
No,
you
not
just
at all.
accept people for the way they
I
are?
always accept people for the way they are. Like I work with a lot of loud people, to be honest. And it's not just like yourself or Adam, or even if I go back to my RM team, you know, I've got Capiche that's loud, that's the Beans that's loud. I never for once think like, you know, oh, shut up, just stop talking. Like I just kind of embrace them, and I'm kind of glad that they're loud because that means I don't have to be loud. So it's kind of like a little bit of a balance, to be honest. Like, you know, someone's loud, someone's a little bit quiet. It's really, really good. But going back to your question, like I think loud people, you know, that's just who they are. That's their personality. That's what makes them them. It's similar to like me, you know, I'm not loud. I'm a little bit quiet, a little bit just kind of on the calmer side, and that's just who I am. And I'll never ever judge anyone for being too loud. That for you, even for yourself, Maddie, I would never say that. You know what? I actually don't even think that you're loud, to be honest.
Okay,
I think Adam's
that's a new one.
No, I don't think you're allowed, to be honest. But yeah, no, I would never kind of judge anyone for that, to be honest.
Okay. Because I just thought of a question just while you're chatting then, actually. And obviously you work with people all day, like you're just saying. And with your demeanor and personality, when you get home, what's that like for you? Like, are you completely... Because I can't even imagine people that do PT that are introverts. Like, so when you get home, are you completely... The batteries, like, run dead dry?
Some days, yes. There's days that are a little bit harder than others. You know, you'll deal with some certain stuff that you probably don't want to deal with at work, and you know, certain complaints, or it's just been a rough day, and that's when my social battery does get depleted. But I think because being in a kind of like industry where, you know, you have to be face to face with people, I've just kind of grown accustomed to it. I think one of the team members the other day told me, you know, like, I don't know how you can deal with so many people with all these different inquiries and people yelling sometimes at you. I'm just like, I don't know either, but I just do. You know, I think that comes down to my calm side as well. Because like, even though, you know, if I'm dealing with someone that's a little bit angry or who's got something to say, I never really just kind of raise my voice or anything, or I don't look like I'm over it. I just kind of stay calm. And I think that's one of the things that I really kind of like about myself, I would say.
Yes, he's talking about himself. We've done it.
Just to be able very calm.
That's good.
But yeah, my social barrier does get depleted sometimes. But the one thing I would say that annoyed, and I think this was one of the questions. I'm going to bring up one of the questions.
No. You run it, bro. Here we go.
I'm going to bring up one of the questions that you asked me. Is like, what annoys me is the fact that I can't shut my brain off from work. I always go. So you asked me, you know, if I go home, do I just feel completely depleted? I do, but in my mind, I can't rest. Like I've got to. When I finish work, sometimes I go home from work and I'm just on my laptop.
Emails. I was about to ask.
All this type of stuff, updating, you know, everything for the day. And I think that's why my social battery, even though it's depleted, my mind's still clocked onto work. That's why I'm always thinking, always doing that. I think that's one thing I kind of don't like or annoys me about myself, because I think it also tarnishes like my relationship with my parents. And I think when we're talking off pod, like my brother as well, like I'm just always so work focused and just a workaholic that I can't really slow myself down.
Which is, we've had this, I find this really interesting when we have someone that we speak about this on the pod, because I like it when it's not black or white, because it's a situation where it's positive because it's got you where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
But then you're probably not running on empty, but you know, the wheel, as you said, just keeps churning like 24/7. So when's the last time you had a holiday?
Oh, mate. It wasn't really a holiday, but I went to Perth like a couple months back.
Okay.
For High Rocks Perth, so I took a few days off there.
But you're still doing High Rocks, were you?
You're still doing High Rocks.
Bloody hell, okay.
But An actual proper holiday, I went on a cruise at the start of this year, actually.
Okay, all
So it was
right.
like end of February.
And can I ask when you're on there, could you switch off? Because there's no internet, probably.
That was the only time I ever switched off this year, I would say. That cruise I went on for like only 3 days, by the way. I think 4 days, 3 nights. That was the only time my brain ever switched off. Because yeah, you're right, no internet. I also didn't bring my laptop, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I can't really think about work or do anything about it. So yeah, that time I was just eating food, drinking, sunbathing by the pool, dipping into the pool, which is really good. But then just yeah, like February? It's been what 10 months now, 9 months now. Like for 9 months, just had my brain just completely just locked into
On work,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if Justin's listening, he'd be happy about that. But I know what you mean. It's as I was saying, it's an interesting quality. Obviously, you've got because what do your parents do?
My mum's a nurse.
There
She
you
works
go,
at Bankstown Hospital, which is pretty cool. And my dad just recently retired. So he was a store person at Woolies factory for like a long, long time.
He's probably got bad back, bad knee, and he keeps pushing it out.
Well, yeah, he was retired for a bit.
Oh.
When I say a bit, I probably only like maybe a month or two, and then he just found another job, just doing a little bit of warehousing. So, still going at it at 60 years old. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably where you've got it from. Even your brother too, because you said off the pod. What does your brother do? Did you say again?
My brother's a forky.
Yeah.
But he's also studying nursing at the moment.
Okay, so busy. He's yeah.
Yeah, the family dynamic's really weird. So I think this is also where it comes from because my mum, dad, brother, they all work so much, and so do I. So like anytime, I wake up at like say 6 a.m. in the morning, everyone's already gone from home. Like mom's already gone, dad's gone, brother's gone. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I might as well just go to work as well. But I think we've all just come from a very like hardworking, driven family. I think that's who we are, to be honest.
Which is a good thing, but then as you said, I guess you don't have like as much. Would you eat like dinner together as a kid, or would your parents still be working? Would you say?
No, we'd eat dinner here and there. Like, I don't know if it's like most families, but how everyone wants to try and have dinner at the table every single night. It wasn't always like that for us. I mean, there's times where it was just only me at the dinner table, or me and my brother, or sometimes me, my mum, and my dad, and then my brother's still at work. So there was only probably like maybe once a week or once every fortnight that all four of us were at the dinner table together, actually just enjoying some dinner and actually talking about how our days was, how our weeks was. But it wasn't like on a consistent basis, I would say.
And then your partner, because as I was saying with the start of this pod, everyone was very curious because they're like, Darren, I actually don't. And can I ask you a question before we talk about this?
Yeah.
Because you were the one that was interested in coming on the pod. So you said it to me first. Like, what made you want to do it?
I don't know. I think because I've been watching a few podcasts recently. And I like to listen to podcasts when I run as well. So sometimes, it's just all these interesting topics. But I think one of the main reasons I actually wanted to come onto this podcast was I saw like, you were doing podcasts with all these people from one playground. And it was interesting to hear their stories as well. And I was like, you know what, like I wouldn't mind chatting a little bit, jumping into a podcast and just kind of, speaking on certain topics, I would say. It's something new to me. I think one of the things I wanted to do this year was like try a few things different, which I've done so far. I think podcast was one of them.
Nice, man. Well, you've done really well, God. Merrylands, big club, first one playground club in the West. So it's a huge, it was a huge assignment as well. But no, that's good, man. Yeah. I'm happy also to know that I know members and, there's been a couple of member emails and stuff saying about they're liking just to see a different side of the trainers because it's personal training's funny because you want to be vulnerable, I would say, to clients. Like, I feel like I'm pretty vulnerable, and this might go back to what you were saying about why you maybe have a bit more battery than me because you probably stay on the level a bit. Do you know what I mean? And Emmanuel's a very similar personal trainer. I don't know if you've seen him. whether he's had 4 hours sleep or he's done shout out to Fit Living. He's done like millions of massages, and he works hard. He always looks the same. He always is the same with his clients.
Yeah.
Whereas I know Joshy, before he became the PTM, like we joked about in the office. Maybe it's because we're white. Both me or him were tired. We look like crack addicts. Like you can it shows like on our face, which is hard. I don't know. It's kind of similar to what we're talking about. It can be a good and a bad thing for PT because people might ask you, "Oh, is everything like all good?" Whereas I am aware, and Ollie V talks about this. You are kind of like a Coldplay concert. If you did 10 sessions that day, but your one with I'll just say Carol was shit. That's her experience.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So do you think it's maybe because you stay level that keeps the battery like
100%,
maybe half full, not full, but
it is. I think like look, I think people can definitely tell when I look tired, but I think most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, I'm very like calm-headed, level, and can kind of just go on about my day, whether I've gotten sleep or not, whether I've had a rough day or I've just had someone come and yell at me. I just keep it mellow. But it's just I think it's just
how many people are bloody yelling at you, man?
No, not a lot of people are yelling at me, but you get the occasional people that anyway, I'm not gonna go into that.
Good. Yeah, that's all good.
Nah, man, honestly, like I think being calm and not letting your emotions get the best of you, I would say, like regardless if you're tired or angry or not, is a really good trait to have. Because as soon as you let your emotions control you, then it's just gonna impact your day so much. So I think if I can just go into work and kind of just deliver the best experience I can give to members that want to come in or members that we already have, I think that's a better trait to have than just kind of, letting them impact my mood. Because if I let them impact my mood, then my mood's going to be impacted on the team. And if the team gets impacted, then it's just going to create a whole little negative bubble in the office, I would say. So I feel like for myself being, a leader in the club and obviously leading like, a great group of team, I want to make sure that they can see me being very calm, very mellow-headed, and kind of put that energy into them as well, rather than, see me getting frustrated, see me getting tired, which I used to see my previous managers a lot back, like ages ago, they would come in and be like, I'm tired or not ready for this day. I'm not, just want to go home. And it kind of impacted on me like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to work here. So that kind of just put me in a spot where like, I don't want to put that on my team as well. So it's not just for the members, but also for the team.
I was going to ask you who's been the most influential person at one playground. But first of all, let's talk about the least influential, Luciano. So you try, man. He used to be like sort of like my Colleen that I message every. I mention every podcast. So he used to be mentioned so much on this pod. Yeah. He has been on once, and we're gonna get him back on in the new year. But yeah, how was it training with him? First of all, a bit of a funny one, and then we'll go on to like a serious one.
Oh man, training with him was, training with him really put me in a good spot for my training. But it was so funny because when I was working in Marrickville, I don't think when I started in Marrickville, I don't think Luciano was there yet. He was away on holiday, so I hadn't met him. But I remember in my interview with Justin, like, it was kind of like pitching Luciano to me because, I came in as like someone that looked like I trained. I told Justin I wanted to become a bodybuilder. He straight away pitched Luciano to me, and I was like, I'm going to go to Marrickville and suss this guy out.
He always gets mentioned. I don't know what it is, whether it's good or bad. Shout out to Lucci, but he always gets mentioned, doesn't he?
It's worthwhile, but like he deserves to get mentioned. He's a great coach, honestly.
Oh, his physique is
It's not just his physique, but the way his knowledge and the way he kind of just pushes you is really, really good. I think when I started with Luciano, I was probably at my heaviest, honestly. I was probably close to like 90 kilos. I actually wasn't happy with how I looked in the mirror. But in the 6 to 8 months that I was working with Luch, like my physique changed drastically, to be honest. And it wasn't just because of the programs he gave me, nutrition plan and everything else. I think he just pushed me very hard in our training sessions. So that was really, really good. And to be quite frank, like I'd still be training with him now if I just didn't have a switch up in training, to be honest. Like I kind of delved away from all the, bodybuilding, nutritional side and kind of dived into a little bit more running, a little bit more conditioning. But if there was one coach, I would probably say that kind of pushed me the most and got me the greatest results, it'd probably be Luciano.
I do want to ask about the gym. Yeah, when the gym opened and how you fit in training and things like that. But to end on the chat with Luciano, I was going to say, is this an urban legend that you can look into his forehead and see the future? Is that?
Oh my goodness.
Is that accurate?
Look, I'm planning to go back to training with Luciano in the future, so I don't want to comment on that just yet.
Shout out to Lucci.
Yeah.
So I did think about this actually this morning. I was thinking about maybe it might help someone the challenge of like training, because obviously when the gym opened, you must have been really busy. Like, did you try to keep a minimum of things that you're doing? Or you can be honest, was the first week just out the window? Like, how did that work?
You know what? It was already hard when we were in that period opening up Merrylands, because there was no gym at Merrylands. It was still getting built up. So like I had to find an external gym to kind of train at, which was okay. Like, it was good. But then when the gym opened up, like I was expecting it to be like, I was expecting to have 12-hour days. I was expecting to work maybe like 13, 14 days straight. So I kind of like knew what was coming at me. But it wasn't really until the gym opened up that I was like, fuck, like I can't train at all. I try to fit in a 30-minute session. I can't, because the gym's still busy. We're signing people up. And I remember this one time, it was probably like a few days after we opened. I had already worked like probably 6 days or 5 or 6 days straight. And I remember like, okay, cool. Like maybe I can just leave early today, go home, get some sleep, and then wake up and train. As I left work early that day, it was probably like 3, 4 o'clock. Got home, showered. I was like, all right, cool. Let's get a session. Fire alarm goes off at Merrylands. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe, you know what? Like,
it's just not meant to be at the time.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, I try to tell that to clients, because say they come in and it's a week, they do one a week with me and they say, I haven't trained. You don't want it to be a habit, obviously, but it happens. It
happens. I think I didn't beat myself up over it. I knew like, it was going to be busy. There's other things to kind of focus on, but it's not about like what you did in those 2 weeks that the gym opens, but what you do after. You know what I mean? Like you said, you don't want to make it consistent. As soon as you got some free time now and, you can get back into your routine, definitely get back into it. And that's what I did. Because I remember when Merrylands opened up, it was like May 3rd, I think it was. So it was in May. High Rock Sydney was in June or July, I think it was. So I had like 6 weeks to prep for that. And I hadn't even done like anything in the first 2 weeks of May. So I was like, you know what? I need to go back into it. But to answer your question, it was hard to train. I've had multiple experiences like that, where 2-3 weeks I couldn't get into training because I was just working too much. And that's another reason why it annoys me. Sorry, let's go back to the annoying part. It's because I get annoyed myself that I'm a workaholic, because I can't, if I'm a workaholic, I can't train. If I don't train, I actually hate it. It actually sucks.
You don't feel good.
No, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
This is very, a common thing that people feel, but for me, I feel it. Like I feel it 10 times harder. Like if I don't train or move my body in a day, I'm just like, fuck. Like, yeah, I just feel like absolute shit.
Because what do you like? What I was gonna ask you as well, with the poddies that you listen to, like what sort of podcasts do you listen to?
It's all these random ones, honestly. Like I go through TikTok and then, there's like little snippets of podcasts and I'm just like listening to all these ones. Like Joe Rogan's a really good one as well. And all these like little influencers I feel like a lot of influencers getting into podcasts nowadays, but they'll just be random topics. But those, I can't remember one that really sticks out from the top of my head, to be honest. But yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. Mindset? Was it a mindset one?
Yeah, mindset.
It could have been, there's a few different, there's some good, actually English ones that are mindset. Do you remember the topic? Was the topic training?
I don't remember the topic. But there was one that I listened to recently. I can't remember who it was, but there was just a line in that podcast that was kind of still stands on me to this day, actually. It's like, what you don't change, you're choosing. I don't know if you've seen that podcast or not, but when I heard that line, I was like, fuck, that really got me thinking, like whatever I don't change about myself or the things I do, like I'm just pretty much practically choosing. So I'm kind of trying to implement that into my life at the moment, which is pretty good.
I was happy you didn't say. Have you seen the one that goes, "Don't job your love"?
Yeah.
What is it? Don't love your job, job your love.
Oh, mate, that one is pretty funny. I think we've made a lot of jokes about that in the office. And Ask Capiche, like he's always the one saying that. But what podcast was that actually?
I'm not sure, but I know the guy, obviously, and I think it was like a couple years old.
Yeah.
But it just like with social media and the internet, it just like for whatever reason someone shared it, and then it started. Obviously, you had the memes of guys like there was a guy that was mopping up with his girlfriend because he's like just loving his jobbing his love, and it's just I don't know. Apparently, I saw another video where she came on and defended it as well, and I was like, that's even worse. Just say it was a stupid.
It was a stupid. Yeah, it was. You know what? The first time I heard it, I was like, and then I clicked on the comments and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a pretty dumb thing to say.
Yeah, 100%. I got a good question I just thought of. How do you think? So we've chatted a lot about. I've learned a lot more about you in this like 40 minutes than I guess like working with you over 3 years, maybe. Yeah, sort of
2.5 years now. I
2.5
think.
years. So it does speak to the fact that you do keep to yourself. But I wanted to ask, how do you think your partner or your girlfriend? How do you think she'd describe you?
Probably same, to be honest. Like very quiet, very humble. For the most part, but like I said, you know, if I'm all my close mates that there's only probably about like 4 or 5 people that are, you know, I'm close friends with. They probably would label me as the same thing, like calm,
Clout chaser.
Maybe in another universe. Very calm, very quiet, but then they also know I'm very extroverted with people that I'm very close with. So they'll probably say like, you know, you're loud, you're funny, you always make up and just make goofy jokes. That's probably the other side of me that only gets shown to a few people, I would say.
Which was one of the reasons when you said you wanted to come on, I was happy to, because I think maybe the members get a bit of different side to you and the PTs. Is that also your thinking?
100%. I think one of the things, you know, being club manager of Merrylands, obviously, you know, you're looking after like obviously not the RM team. You're working alongside with Josh as well. But one of the things that I don't want to speak about work too much on this, but one of the things that I wanted to do was just kind of be more connected with the coaches, I would say. Because I think in the first 6-7 months that we've opened up, you know, I've spent a lot of time developing a new team, getting them up and running. But then, you know, Josh is looking after like 18 coaches. You know, it's probably on me to help support him as well and kind of get to know each and every one of you. Well, I do, you know, I've met some of you before one playground or during one playground. I think, you know, it's good for the coaches to know a little bit about me, just to see, because I think some of them probably think, you know, I'm quiet, I keep to myself, I don't really talk too much, but here's the reason why.
And then this is it. This is man, trust me, everyone's come on this podcast and give it a bit of a trauma dump set. I feel like yours is actually, will be relatable and not too crazy anyway. But I've said worse. But do you feel like, I guess, or when you leave work, I know you're saying you find it hard to switch off, but is there anything that sort of like what do you like to do? This is something I have no idea. Like what you do when you get away.
I actually said this in the video that I did with One Playground. But recently, what I've done, probably what people don't know about me is like people would look at me and think like, okay, cool, he just works, eats, trains, and sleeps. That's it. But a lot of things that I like to do recently is just honestly turn on my PS5. Like turn on my PS5, play a few Fortnite games, jump on with the boys, and play, you know, some Battlefield or COD or whatever it is. I think that's my only wind down. I think that's what I've started to do recently as well.
How do you take losing?
Oh, mate, I crash out. I used to be a gamer, like massive gamer back in the day. I used to have like a PC set up and everything. But yeah, like that's probably one of the things I really do to wind down. Now, if it's not like a gaming type of night and I want to kind of wind down in a completely different way, honestly, I just go for a run, go train and do something like that. Because I feel like that's where my head just clears off a little bit. But recently, just to kind of cool down, yeah, man. Honestly, turning on the PS5 and just playing a few games.
Yeah, because I was going to say, well, at One Playground, it gets a bit more heated when it's FIFA.
Oh, really?
We're playing FIFA, yeah.
Is there a tournament going on?
Oh, we did have one at Marrickville ages ago, but Joey still, because he claimed the title, he still goes on about it. But he's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really?
Joey's very good. I probably had a mental block. I just couldn't beat him. I don't know, but no, Joey's really good at. But it's a bit of fun. Like who cares in the end? But okay, so that's your. And I was gonna say something I did think of. But it might be a bit racist.
No, go.
Did you play was it Dota?
Dota? No. So
Okay.
I didn't play Dota. I played League of Legends.
Okay.
That's the other one. That's the
Yeah.
other game. Yeah, no, I used to play like heaps back in the day when I had my PC. I think for about 2 or 3 years I played it, to be honest. That was like just after I finished high school. I remember I graduated and the first thing I wanted was, my mom was like, "Oh, you graduated. What do you want?" I was like, "Oh, I want a PC." I think for about 2 or 3 years I was heavily into like PC gaming. Which kind of put me, which was good. Like that was like my outlet. This was before I like started working like very into like management jobs and everything else like that. So it was really good. But I think working into being like that gamer kid for about 3 years, and I think I was studying at uni at that time as well. It kind of put my health and my body in the worst kind of possible. It was the worst. I probably was worst weight wise and the worst I've ever looked, to be honest. So I think at that point I was like very heavy, like a fat, overweight kid, just playing computer games.
Very stereotypical.
Asian dork, But yeah, that was I didn't play Dota. I played League.
Okay, yeah, because it did pop in. I just remember my friends who are Asian, they used to go to. I'm old, man. They used to go to like the actual shop.
Like
And
the
you're all
game
playing
shops,
in the game shops, and you're all playing on different. Now probably people have such good PCs. It's like,
Oh,
but they used to love it. I did go with them a couple times. Like they used to love it. I think, man, gaming's good. It's just if it's like anything. If it takes
Yeah.
over your life and it's you can't. Let's say you lost and you couldn't function, or it ruins a friendship or something like that. Like I think that's when you probably need to look at yourself and think, maybe I shouldn't be playing this game.
Oh, 100%, man. I think I really kind of took that when I came back from holiday one day. So like, it's 3 years. I was studying uni at the time. I remember taking semester off. Went on a holiday with my family to like the USA or something. And when I came back from that, I was like, holy, like I'm so like overweight and fat, and all I do is sit at home, play games, and then snack and then watch TV. I think from that point forward, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm putting the PC to the side. I was like, I'm going to get into training, which was good, to be honest.
I think it's great also. I mean, mate, we've learned, like I said, I've learned a lot about you in the time, but I think it's also great just to have like, say yourself and Adam, who's been on, just speaking about that. Because I think if people do see both of you in the gym, and that's like a big common misconception, I think, with my clients and people starting new to the gym, it's just they feel like, oh, you've always been into fitness. Like you woke up and had protein shakes in them, like or you came out of the womb and you're like, where's my protein shake? And you love training, but you were like similar. You're a gamer and yeah.
One thing people don't know about me is I was like, obviously, I think it's a lot cliche. A lot of people go through this phase, but I wasn't always like this, like you said. Like I wasn't always, training every day, eating clean and going for runs. I didn't really just start going for runs till this year, but I was a kid that snacked a lot, ate out a lot, always ate with his friends outside. Was close to 100 kilos when I was like 22 or 23, I think it was. And then it wasn't until, heartbreak, looking at myself in the mirror, not being happy, that I realized,
Heartbreak. We should have started on that.
Heartbreak.
Bloody hell. I don't know if your current girlfriend would like that, but okay.
No, look, it was, typical gym start off, you get a little bit of a heartbreak going, and then you're like, you just want to better yourself. I think that's.
So that was your initial driver, would you say?
Initial driver, yeah, I would say. It probably wasn't the initial driver. It was probably what pushed me even harder, I would say. Because the initial driver was just me wanting to look at the mirror and be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm happy with how I look. I don't want to look like a fat, overweight kid just playing games all the time. I want to do something with my life. But in that time frame there, as I was going to the gym, that heartbreak happened, and I was like, okay, cool. Now I've got no responsibilities. All I can do is just really focus on training and just doing what I need to do to better myself. So Yeah.
And look at you now. Do you want to send her a message?
I'll send her a link to this podcast.
Yeah. Head at Merrylands doing podcasts. Wow, she should have training. She shouldn't have done that, man. How'd you meet your girlfriend now?
Honestly, it was actually off. It's funny. I actually met her when I was working at Culture Kings. So she actually group interviewed. But I didn't know her at the time. I was with my ex at that time, and she was with her ex-partner at that time. And then it wasn't until about 2 years later, I was single. I went through my heartbreak. I think she also went through her heartbreak as well. But I remember just being on Tinder at that time. And look, I'm gonna say this on the potty, but people won't probably believe me. But I didn't use Tinder for anything. This was like probably the first time I've opened up Tinder on my phone. I was just having.
I think I believe you. If Luciano came on here and said that,
I think it's a different story.
Yeah, I'd kind of be like, no, but I actually do believe you. You don't seem like the Tindering type.
No. I was just honestly onto it. I was on it, just to see what it was, how it worked. I remember just like, going through a few swipes, and I remember seeing her and I was like, oh wait, I remember you from somewhere. So I just swiped. And then that pretty much all happened. And then the next day she matched with me, and then pretty much she messaged me first. So, and it just kind of hit her off from there. Kind of went through Tinder, and then, got each other's socials, met up, went on a few dates, and then that's pretty much how
it works.
It works. It works for the most part, to be honest. I think maybe I was just lucky.
Yeah, I think because you hear a lot of other people some of the stories are pretty insane.
I don't even think it's Tinder now. I think it's like Hinge, isn't it? Like Hinge is a new thing.
Yeah, Hinge is meant to be, not that I know, Polly, if you're listening, is meant to be there's more questions, there's more like in-depth into it. But I think I only lived through, say, trainers at Merrylands and probably more Marrickville when they talk about, Jen Duncan speaks about her experiences. She's and says it in quite a hilarious and funny way. And then you got a few other people that are single, but I always say I'm glad, especially at I just think because we miss the app sort of stage. So I think it'd just been awkward to be like 36. Apologies to anyone who's 36 listening to this. But I just think it'd be a really awkward sort of phase to be on there. Because I remember I was more in this stage of being on speaking of like going on the computer, of speaking to a girlfriend, quote unquote, on MSN. Yeah. So that was my MSN, experience.
What else was it? The Bebo?
Yeah, Bebo. Yeah, that was, especially in the West, everyone was on there. Yeah.
And Skype, right? Skype was a thing. Skype video calls. No?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think right now the whole dating's just changed. Honestly, it's all apps, online, meeting people through social media now. I think it's just kind of not the old fashioned anyway anymore, where you meet someone at the bar or whatever it is. So yeah.
Man, this is a topic we'll have to have you on again and discuss this topic, because I do want to do a full podcast on this. I've mentioned it briefly, I think with Mihi when she came on, we spoke about it, and it's there's a few reasons why less people are procreating. I was gonna say that's a very a very technical term for it, but obviously having sex and having children and things like that. There's a lot of barriers why men and women perceive each other differently, or to what. Really? There's a lot of studies and things like that. So
what does the data say?
So basically it's funny because this is going down another route as well. But it's funny because like people complain about, let's say, immigration, but the data actually says that the population's actually is going down. Wow. So let's say China, for example. Obviously, they're having one child. There's a lot of other countries that are having, even my clients in the inner west. Yeah. They're like, I can't live in the inner west with 2 kids. So they're just having one child. So that's happening a lot more. So I had a podcast. I got to find this because I've referenced this before, but I can't remember. But he was basically, going hard, I don't want to say just at Trump, but kind of at the whole ideology of like, oh, we don't want them in our country and there's too many people and blah, blah, blah. Because he was saying in 300 years, every country will have not sponsored ads, but will be advertising to come to our country because he said the population's going down.
Holy shit, that's a whole different topic. Oh
yeah, it is, man. I don't want to say it's hard because I don't want to say he's smart and other people are dumbasses, but he was like a Harvard graduate or something. So he had the data. Yeah. He had the data basically. But yeah, man, it's been we could have just done another 2 topics, but it's been so great to have you on, and I've learned a lot more just in this time than the 3 years, which is even that's gone quick since we've worked together. And I feel like a lot of people listening would appreciate like your honesty. And we sort of touched on because we're doing a bit more with the weekly offload about am I normal? And so I want to, if listeners are listening to this, do you feel more like Darren, like where you don't like the attention, or you're more like Matty? You can go either way. And then I just wanted to ask you one last thing. Did you have anything to offload? So I've got I've got a big guest coming on, Alex Twile. So did you have anything that you wanted me to do with him?
Is Tigers player, yeah?
Yeah, he plays for the West Tigers.
Why don't you run it straight with Alex Tour?
Run it straight? Bloody hell. You reckon?
I reckon.
Have you seen him in the gym?
No. Does he come to our gym?
Yeah, he has been there. He's a big boy, man. Oh, really? He's about 6. I think he's about 6'5". And when he's training arms, I get a bit scared. But I'll do it. I'll do it. You're the first. We're the first. I want to get this trend going. Yeah. And it's been amazing. And last thing I just wanted to ask you, did it meet your expectations, or how'd you find being on a podcast?
No, I love being on the podcast, man. I think, it was probably good to let a few things off my shoulders, I would say, to be honest. And I think, for myself, wanting to try something different this year and jumping onto a podcast and being more open about who I am and why I am the way I am, I think is really good. And it definitely met my expectations, to be honest. I was starting to get jealous to see every coach and everyone playground staff being on the podcast. I was like, man, when Maddie's going to ask me? So I was like, I'll make it.
The thing I do want to say lastly is it's funny because the first person I got on, because Nock and I are really close. Like shout out to Nock, love Nock. I think we're in the room. Who was it? It was Nock, Mina, and myself. And I'm like, this is the top 3. Yeah. And they're like, what? And I'm like, top 3 of people I love here. And they go, you as well. And I'm like, yeah. But I love the guys anyway at Merrylands. But yeah, I really love Nock. But she was like one of the first ones. I said to her, oh, can you come on? Because it wasn't like the rush at Marrickville. Everyone wanted to come on like at Marrickville, I remember. But now that it's sort of like opened up, now everyone else is like, oh, I would probably talk about that on the pod, or oh, when you have me on, and blah, blah. So it's good, man. And as I said, I love it, and I love having you guys on and getting a different perspective for everyone.
Honestly, thanks for having me, Matt.
Thank you, Darren. I want to ask you one more thing. Normally I've said this 3 times. Normally our last thing is I've taken a load off for this week, but I'm thinking maybe to can it. What do you reckon? Or keep it?
Oh,
for a potty.
Keep it for a potty, I would say.
All right.
Yeah, we'll keep it for a potty. I'll come back.
All right. So I'm with Darren, and we've taken a load off for this week.